Hey, this is Mike, and we are back with a video about how do we make a character fly in Game Creator 2. So I've just got the core Game Creator 2 and the Real New York City Volume 1 installed, and this pack is actually free on the asset store, so you can get it right here at the asset store. I'll leave the link down below. There's a Volume 1 and there's a Volume 2. Where it says it's built by AI, but there's you don't need the plus. You could just get the 1 and the 2 that are free, and they have a 3 and 4 and a plus or whatever that's paid. But for this video, I'm just using the Volume 1 Game Creator Core. So we are going to look at how do we make our character fly, because we want to be able to fly through the city, maybe as like a superhero game. So first of all, all I did was drag the one prefab that comes with the New York Block 01 prefab. This is a prefab. So when you bring it in, you just have to run the render pipeline converter on it to make it into URP if it's a URP project you're using, which is what I'm doing. And then, for some reason, the trees did not come through as transparent, so they weren't looking correctly. So just come in here to the materials, change all your trees to transparent instead of opaque, and it will look better. So all I'm going to do right now is going to create a character, a player character for now. And I'm going to create, and we're going to put him in the scene here. So he's probably way over here, and we want him up in the city. So we just need to move the character. All right, so we've got him on the street corner here. I don't know why it's so this city thing comes in rotated weird, I guess. So even though it's at 000, but it's rotated strange. So, but it doesn't matter. And then I'll create a camera shot. Third person camera. And I just do my favorite, I'll put it at about 0.5 and no zoom, and I like it with the shoulder offset, and I like about around a 60-degree pitch. And the main camera, we want to turn on the avoid clipping and put zoom in, and that should do it. And now this should work. Okay, so we are walking around the city. It's a pretty big city model, so let's see if we can fly around the city. It would be much better. So what do we need to get this character flying? There's two ways to do it, really. The first way is the easy way, which we can look at the player and we can look at the motion, and we could change the gravity. So we could reduce the gravity on the player so that when the player jumps, he'll go high. Or we can also increase the jump force. So let me just do the jump force. Let's try increasing it to 20. And we want to put a trigger to catch the jump command. So I'm going to put the jump trigger here and have that on input button jump, and then jump the player. Okay. So now we can jump, and our jump force is set to 20 right now instead of what it was. I think 5 is the default. So if you want to have like a Hulk type character just jumping, you can do it that way. You can do it this way, right? Like you can do that, like a Hulk type character that just jumps super high. And let's try 50 and see what that does. So let's see. Now we can really jump high, and maybe we can get on top of one of these buildings too. And there's no fall damage because that would be something you'd have to program in. So yes, you could use that. You can use jumping as a way. You're not really flying, but you are just jumping around the city. There's been some games like that where you're just jumping. Like there was a Hulk game, I think, a while back. And there was another game that was similar, where you're just jumping around the city. So that's one possibility. That's the easy way. And then the hard way, the other way is we could get some flying animation and we can create a state. So the player by default, when it comes in, is in a start state, a run state. This is the default state, run. So you have a thing called a state, so we can have a flying state. So we can create a new state called flying, and we can enter that state and then exit the state when we need to. So, but first, let's go to Mixamo and we can get a flying animation, and we will take a look at that. So here in Mixamo, we can browse some characters. If we put in the search for hero, you can get Jennifer here, which is a superhero character. And then if you go to animations and search for fly, and click the flying one, and then we want to do in place so that we don't have the root motion. So we have this character here. So she's flying, and so we're going to use this character and this one animation. They only have this one animation. There's alternatives to this, would be to go to the asset store. On the asset store, if you go search for flying animation, fly anim, for instance, there's a flying animation pack. There's flight locomotion animations. So there's a bunch of packs out there. Superhero flying pack. There's one called the Superhero Anim set. This one, Superhero Anim set, which is on sale right now, but so it goes on sale every so often. This seems oriented towards fighting a lot, though. There's a few flying in here, but there's a lot of like combat animations. The other thing is Ramsters has a fairy pack, which on first glance, it's not just fairy animations. You might think it's just for fairy animations, but actually it has a few flying animations in it because you don't have to use the wings. These are just for demonstration purposes, but the animations could be used for like a flying around. Like there's some flying ones in here, so you might find some in here as well. So, but for today, we're just going to use the Mixamo animation. So I will create a folder for the animations. And just putting the 0 brings it to the top. So first of all, we want the idle version of the character. So we want to pick an idle, download it using the with skin, and then if we want to do the flying animation, we want this flying animation in place. So download that and without the skin, and then you get just the animation by itself. So we bring in the idle one that we downloaded, and so we have to say the humanoid, create from this model avatar, and apply. And then the materials, we need to extract the materials. So it's important to extract the textures first, then the materials. And then when we bring this into our player, we can just drop it in. And then we will see what it looks like after the shaders compile. So here we are with our superhero character. Just want to make sure that it works. And it does. And she can jump high. We kept it at 20. Okay, let's get her to fly though. So, alright, so once we've dragged in our character, in this pack, for some reason, there's something wrong with the colliders on the ground. So the character is actually a little bit above the ground. So, yeah, it's a free pack. So it's normally it won't do that, but for some reason in this case it is doing that, but it doesn't affect what we're trying to do here. So we need to bring in our flying animation. So we just drag and drop it into the drag and drop right in. This does not have anything in it, it's just a flying. So once you bring it in, you have to go to the rig, make sure it's humanoid, and copy from other avatar, and we can just use the avatar that was created in the idle one, and then apply. Then we can take a look at this animation. We need to duplicate it to bring it outside of that so that we can edit it. And then we'll just do loop time, bake into pose, original. And I like to do that for this as well. And that, but actually we don't want to do that with the Y. But, so now we just have the animation ready. So next we want to create a state. So let's create a state. So we want to create game creator, characters, animation state. And that'll create a new state. And we'll call that state flying. And the state clip will be this animation flying. And if you had another pack that had more animations, you could use the entry and exit clip so that when you come into the state, it transitions using this animation. And when you exit the state, it'll use that animation clip. So, and then the other thing we want to do is change some things here in the properties. So we only have the one state clip. So when we enter the state, it'll start into this flying. It'll loop, and then so we want to make sure is controllables on, and let's say speed will be increased when flying. So let's change that to 8, and we want to change the gravity to 0, both gravities to 0, and we want to turn off can jump because we're flying. We shouldn't be able to jump. And then that should be it for this state. So now we need to, I'm going to create a trigger for flying. So we want a keyboard. Actually, I'm going to use the jump button. We're going to get rid of this trigger, the regular jump, or we're just we could just, so yeah, we're going to get rid of this jump. So we're going to use the jump command to actually enter the state. So on jump, instead of saying jump the player like we normally do, we would just go enter state. So we're going to enter the state, flying state, and the layer, we'll just say 1. So because the regular state when you start out is layer 0, so we want layer 1, it will go on top of that, and then that should do it, and then it will be flying. So let's just see what that looks like. The hair didn't come in very well, did it? Their hair doesn't look too good, but anyway, let's press space, and now we're flying, and there we got 8. No gravity. We can't change our height though. That's the only thing, but we're flying. I don't know what happened to her hair, but anyway. It didn't import properly. It's weird looking, but oh well. She's got bald spots. So if we want to change our height, we want more controls. So what I'm going to do is add another trigger for we're going to use Q to go up and E to go down. So what we want to do is check a conditions first, and we want to say if the player has a player state at layer 1, which means we're in the flying state, then we're going to change the position of the character, and we're going to give it the player transform, and instead of set, we're going to add, because we're going up, and I'm going to do 0.1. 0.1. And then we're going to duplicate this trigger and paste as new. So we're going to change that to E, and this one will be subtract. So we're going to go down by 0.1, but we don't want just keyboard press, we want keyboard while pressing. So let's change that so that it's continuous. So let's see. Keyboard while pressing, Q. Okay, so that should allow us to go up and down with Q and E only while we're flying. So let's see. Q and E do nothing now, but when I press space, now we're flying, and now Q is going up and E is going down. So we are flying, and you need more animations if you want other different types of flying, but you get the picture. And then, so basically this is basic flight, but once we're up here, and you might want an idle animation or whatever when it's not moving around, but for that, so we need to come out of because we're stuck in this, and there's no collider on the top of this building either, but we're stuck in this flying state, so we need to be able to come out of it. So that's the one last trigger we need, is to add a trigger input button, keyboard, press F. We're going to use F, and then we're going to exit state or stop state. stop state on layer 1. And then that should bring us back to normal. But we also want to, because we've changed some things, this state changes the speed and the gravity. If you exit the state, it will not change it back. So we need to change it back when we're exiting the state. So stop state, and we want to change the gravity back to what it was, and we'll use both, and then negative 9.81, and we want to change the speed, change the movement speed back to 4. That's the default. So that should do it, and then we will and now we can go up. We can only go down until it hits the collider, and then, but these buildings don't have colliders, or proper colliders, I guess. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's a free pack, that's why. But anyway, we can now, and now we can say F, and it should come out of that state. And there we go. Back to running around. And then we just press spacebar to go back in. So here's our flying, and you can certainly change the speed to make it faster. I think maybe double that speed might be good. So all you need to do is just change it in here. Let's try 16. And then we're flying a little bit faster. Anyway, you can really like play around with the parameters to see what you like. And then we just, if you want, you can just press F, and now we are gone. And there is a collider on this one, so so that's it. So the other way is if you have multiple animations, like from one of those anim sets, you might have an 8-way like mobility one. So for those ones, you need to create if you go into here, a basic locomotion state or a complete locomotion state. So basic locomotion state, you can put all the 8 directions plus the idle in here. So if you had an idle clip as well as your forward, so for us, with just the one, I would put this here in the forward, I think. And then all I'd have to do is change the trigger, the state here to this, okay, flying locomotion. And then we just put it here. And I think it should, and then of course you got to set the properties. Speed, say 20, gravity, 0, and then can jump, no, off. And you want to turn that back on too, if you have a jump command. Okay. See if that works. And it does not. It's in the regular. Okay, so maybe it's this one. Forward. airborne mode, up, forward, down, forward. Let's try this. So there we go. Q and E, and it's also doing this when I go left and right because of this airborne directional mode. If you put on the hit thing, so if you're airborne, so right now the idle is defaulting back to the falling animation, I think. But if you had a different idle animation, you would put that here in the idle, up idle or down idle. You can put it in the land and the locomotion idle as well, and play around with it to see where it works the best. And that's how you would do it if you have multiple, if you have a full locomotion set for flying. So, and then F would shut it off, and then it's on top of the tree. So there we go. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we will be back with another video very soon with Game Creator 2. I'm going to be looking at some UI related videos coming up next. So stay tuned and like, subscribe, comment down below. Any topics you want me to cover, let me know and I'll put them on the list. And we will see you in the next one.